Welcome back to another Sunday prep day. If you're new here, every Sunday I prep for the week, so that means cutting all my vegetables and doing things that take a little bit longer. Like usually I make things like soups, sauces, stews, that kind of stuff, but for today I'm just soaking some beans for a dish tomorrow. So it's mostly just veg prep today, and while I'm working on this onion, I'll go over the menu. So for lunch today, as usual on Sundays, I'm gonna have some sandwiches, have some whole wheat rolls, and I have some ham, and I might add some cucumber, some lettuce, etc. And then for dinner tonight, I'm gonna do some chicken sandwiches. Was gonna originally do them last week, but I was a bit sick. You might still hear it in my voice. I have a bit of a chest infection, but it's mostly gone now. But that means that the dish I had planned last week, I ended up skipping dinner, so that just got pushed this week. So that's just chicken sandwiches with some nice whole wheat rolls. I'm gonna season it with like some harissa spices, etc. So, and also last week I made pickled cucumbers for that, but I didn't end up using, so I'll use them this week. Otherwise I would have prepped those as well. So, but yeah, the onions are just sliced up, and here I have some shallots. So I'm just gonna dice those. A bit of a rough-ish dice. But yeah, on Monday, Meatless Monday, for lunch I'm gonna do some hummus with some crudités. I just bought some hummus this time. Sometimes I make it myself, but I feel like when you make like one single portion, it's not really worth it most of the time because you'll end up making far too much. So, just giving that a dice. And then for dinner on Monday, I'm gonna do some stewed beans because I have some roasted salsa left over from last week. So I'm gonna use that to do the beans. Stew those, but yeah, that's why I have to soak some beans so they're ready to go tomorrow. I can just cook them for a bit and then continue stewing them in the roasted salsa. So, almost done with the shallots. These are gonna go in a salsa, and I'll also use them in some other things as well. I just had a few shallots left over from last week when I made my roasted salsa, so I thought I'd use those up. Here I have some garlic cloves. Those are gonna go in. I'm gonna make some tacos or quesadillas. I'm gonna do a stir fry, etc. So I'll just give those a quick chop. Yeah, then we were on Tuesday. So for lunch, I'm gonna do some sausage, and I think with broccoli. I have broccoli and green beans for this week, so I can just pick the vegetable I'm most in the mood for, and then I can just change out days if I want. And then for dinner, I'm gonna do either tacos or quesadillas. I haven't decided yet. The main difference is gonna be if I'm gonna add cheese or not. But with some chorizo and plenty of vegetables. That's one of the things I needed the white onion for. You can use any onion really, but I had some white ones, so why not use those? And then we're on Wednesday. For Wednesday for lunch, I'm going to do a low-carb stir fry. So for that, I'm going to use some broccoli stems, and I'm just going to add some chicken and a bunch of veg. And yeah, broccoli stems are great to use up in like a low carb stir fry. And then here I have some spring onions. Mostly I'm going to use them for garnish because I still have them. And that's the thing with the spring onions. I buy them because I need them for something, and then I use one or two, and then the rest just sit there. So if I have them laying around, just try to add them to as many things as possible as like garnish. You can replant the root end, by the way. But like I said, I don't use spring onions enough, so I'm just gonna toss them. And next up, let me square this up. I have some carrot. I have a massive carrot here. If you have smaller carrots, just use 2 or 3. This is gonna go in my crudités. It's about that big. And I'm just gonna cut that into some sticks. I'll square things up. And that's about the size I want for my crudités. So I'll continue doing that for the rest here. Oh yeah, I got distracted. I was still working on the menu. So we were on Wednesday for dinner. I'm gonna do a couscous salad. So that's couscous with peppers, with cucumber, a whole lot of parsley, and I'll serve that with some grilled chicken. The rest of this I'm just going to use for my stir fry. So I'm going to cut that into little ribbons. It's a stir fry, you don't have to be too fussy with it. Let's just do that and I'll continue cutting. So then we were on Thursday for lunch. I'm going to do some sausages with some green beans, but like I said, I could decide to change out the veg. And then for dinner, I'm going to have some noodles with some chicken. So that's noodles, spicy green beans, some chicken, some peanut sauce maybe, or I have some chili oil. And just figure out exactly when it comes to Thursday. So that is perfect for stir fry. And then for Friday, for lunch, I'm gonna do some salmon with some green beans. And then for dinner, I'm gonna do some fish tacos with like a pico de gallo style kind of salsa. But instead of tomatoes, I'm gonna use some peppers because I'm not a big fan of just raw tomatoes. I'll eat them sometimes, but I'm not the biggest fan. Then next up for the couscous salad, I need some parsley. So I'm gonna take about half a bunch. Save that for next time. Maybe I'll do like a soup next week. Roll that up, give that a chop. I'll just do a rough chop at first. And now it's a little more manageable. I'm just gonna keep running my knife through until it's nice and fine. Next up, I have some cucumbers. So I need some in sticks for my crudités. So I'll cut them the right length. I'll cut around the core because the core is a bit too soft to dip in my hummus. So I don't want that in there. And the rest I'll just cut into nice spears. This is a bit too short, so I'll put that aside. And I'll just grab the next one, cut that into some spears. And the third one, and don't worry, the other parts are not going to waste. I'll show that in a moment. I'll just quickly cut these into sticks because for my salsa and for my couscous salad, I need some cubes. So I'll just cut those into slices. And the other way, And then I'll just dice that. And while I do the other pieces, I'll just use the cores as a snack, so those are not going to waste either. Then next up, I have some jalapenos. Those are going to go in my stir fry and in my tacos or quesadillas. With jalapenos, I do like taking the seeds out just because they're annoying. With like cayenne, I don't bother. And these I'll just slice up. And then here I have a bunch of peppers. I'll use those for different things like my my crudités, my stir fry, my tacos, etc. So I'm going to start off by cutting them in half and taking the seeds out. And then I'll cut off the bigger parts and cut that into sticks. That's for my crudités. I'll do that for all the different colors. And yes, I have a whole bunch of colors just for the color, really. Especially with my crudités. I just want as many colors on the plate as possible. So that is sticks. And then for my tacos, my couscous salad, etc., I'm just going to dice the other part of the peppers. And then I'm just going to repeat that with the green and the orange. I'll use the top part for sticks and the rest for dices. And this pepper is a different shape, but I'm essentially going to do the same thing. These are all sweet peppers, by the way, the ones I cut before as well. They're not hot peppers or chilies. They are peppers, just pointy. So, cut some sticks, and then the rest I'll just cut into cubes. And I'm going to use all the little offcuts as well. Try to reduce your waste. My camera switched off because it overheated. It's hot in here. It's about 26 Celsius inside. So because we don't really have AC in Europe, so that's like 80 degrees almost inside. So my camera decided to take a little break, but that meant I could cool off a bit as well. If you hear some noise, I turned on an extra fan, so I hope it's not too loud. I needed that on. So we're almost done. Here I have some broccoli, and I'm just going to take the florets off for one meal. So I'll use a bigger container, and I'll just cut these into bite-sized pieces. Alright, and then here I have some green beans, enough for 2 meals. So let me get all of them. And I'm just going to top and tail the lot. Alright, that is green beans done. And with the broccoli, I almost forget, we need the broccoli stems as well. So I'm just going to take the leaves off. And then I'll cut that in half. And yeah, this is going to be the bulk for my stir fry instead of like rice or noodles. And you can cut this as fine as you want. It's a balance between effort and preference. So this is fine enough for me with the least amount of effort. So I'm just gonna finally dice this. And the only thing I'm not using is the very end, like this end, because that's very dry. But the rest, it's really nice to use. Lots of flavor. Would be a waste not to use it. And I'm just gonna do 2 stems worth. And then lastly, I have some cilantro. So I'm gonna bunch that up a bit. Give that first rough chop. This is for the salsa, and I might do some lime cilantro rice with this as well. So I'll just give that a quick chop at first. And the stems I'm going to use for things like curry paste, etc. And again, just like the parsley, after a first rough pass, I'll just keep running my knife through until everything is nice and fine. And there we go. That's everything prepped for the week. I can now have lunch or dinner on the table in minutes. Unfortunately, I don't have a time check for you because since the camera overheated, I don't have my timer going. But yeah, if you like this kind of content, I do this every single Sunday. And like I said before, sometimes it's just cutting vegetables. Other times I make soups, stews, stocks, sauces, that kind of stuff. So if that sounds good to you, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, and thanks for watching. Until next time, bye for now.